She went for a routine checkup, but ended up pregnant with a millionaire's baby by mistake, and now. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. I was still trying to process the words the doctor had just said when Liam Parker, the man who claimed to be the father of my child, stepped closer. His presence was overwhelming, tall, confident, with an aura that could only belong to someone who was used to getting what he wanted. My mind raced, still trying to make sense of everything. I don't understand, I stammered, my voice shaky. How could this be possible? I haven't been with anyone. I don't. Liam raised a hand, cutting me off gently. I know this is overwhelming, Sarah, but I need you to listen to me. I was at a loss for words, but I nodded, as if that would somehow help me make sense of this bizarre situation. You and I met years ago, when you were working at the hospital. I didn't expect to see you again, but we had a brief encounter. I didn't know it would lead to this, but now there's something I have to tell you. I stared at him, my mind still reeling. You're telling me that this child, this pregnancy, is because of one brief encounter? He nodded slowly. I know it doesn't make sense, but there's something you need to understand, Sarah. This isn't just about us. It's bigger than that. My head spun as I tried to absorb everything he was saying. It felt like a bad dream. One moment, I was just trying to survive, juggling work, being a single mom, and now I was in a doctor's office, hearing that I was pregnant with a millionaire's baby, someone I didn't even know well enough to understand why he was in my life now. Liam's face softened, but there was something behind his eyes, something that told me he wasn't just a stranger, he was hiding something. Something that made this whole situation feel even more complicated. Sarah, I know you're confused. You have every right to be, he said, his voice calming. But I want to help you. I can help you, and I'll explain everything. Just let me. I interrupted him, my frustration bubbling over. Help me? You think you can just come in here, tell me you're the father of my child, and everything's going to be okay? Do you even know what my life is like? How am I supposed to trust you, let alone accept any of this? Liam's expression didn't change, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. A sadness, maybe, regret. He took a step closer, and I could feel the tension in the air. I understand why you're upset, he said quietly. I didn't expect any of this either. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to figure this out alone. His words were kind, but they felt too distant, too disconnected from the reality I was living. I took a step back, trying to regain some sense of control. I needed space to think, to process all of this. But the weight of his presence, the way he seemed so certain that he could fix everything, made it impossible for me to just walk away. My heart raced as I looked at him. So what now? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Now, we take things one step at a time, Liam replied, his voice firm but gentle. We need to run more tests, make sure everything's okay with you and the baby, and then we can start figuring out the next steps together. I wanted to scream. I didn't want this. Didn't want him in my life, especially not like this. But somehow, the thought of facing this alone was worse. What do you want from me? I asked, finally letting the tears I'd been holding back fall. He stepped forward again, reaching out, but this time, I didn't back away. He placed a hand on my shoulder, his touch unexpectedly warm. I want to help you, Sarah. I want to be a part of this, a part of your life, and the life of this child. I know it's a lot to ask, but I'm asking you to trust me. I stared at him for a long moment, unsure of what to do, unsure of what to believe. He wasn't just some random guy, he was Liam Parker, a man who had the power to change everything, to make my life better, or maybe worse. I didn't know him, didn't understand him, but I couldn't deny that something about him, his sincerity, the way he was looking at me made me want to believe that maybe, just maybe, he could help. But could I trust him? Could I trust myself in this situation? I didn't know the answers, but I knew one thing. My life, and the life of my child, was about to change forever. I stared at Liam, still in disbelief. His words hung in the air between us, each one seeming to weigh heavier than the last. He wanted to help, he said. He wanted to be part of my life, and the life of this baby, but I didn't know if I could trust him. How could I trust a man who walked into my life so suddenly, a man who claimed to be the father of my child without any warning? But his gaze softened, and something in his eyes told me that he wasn't just saying words. He meant it. "I know it's hard to believe, Sarah," Liam said, his voice low and reassuring. "But this is real. I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. But I knew I couldn't make any decisions in the middle of such chaos. I had to think this through. I had to protect myself and my daughter. But how could I do that with everything spinning out of control? "I don't know what you want from me, Liam," I finally said, my voice shaky. "I can't just trust you because you're saying the right things. I've been hurt before. I've been on my own for so long. I don't know how to let anyone in. I don't know how to believe that someone like you could be real." He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. "I understand," he said softly. "I'm not asking you to trust me right away. I'm asking you to give me a chance. I'm asking you to let me prove that I can be there for you, no matter what." His words were calm, but they hit me deeper than I expected. I wasn't sure what kind of man Liam Parker was, but there was something about him that made me want to believe him. Something in the way he spoke, in the way he didn't rush me, didn't try to push me into anything I wasn't ready for. It was a strange feeling, one I hadn't felt in a long time. I was used to being on my own, to handling everything myself. I wasn't used to having someone offer help, especially not someone who could change everything with just a phone call. But was that what I needed? Was I really ready to let someone into my life like that? I couldn't answer that yet, but the thought of facing this alone made my heart ache. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "But I'm willing to listen. I need time to figure things out, to understand what this means for me and for my daughter." Liam nodded, his expression softening. "Of course," he said. "Take all the time you need, but just know that I'm here for you. You don't have to go through this alone." He stood up then, giving me a little space to breathe. And for the first time in a long time, I felt a small flicker of hope. Maybe this was the beginning of something I didn't expect, something that could change everything for the better. But deep down, I knew the road ahead would be anything but easy. There were still so many unknowns, so many questions. What did this mean for my future? What did it mean for my daughter? And most importantly, what did it mean for me? I wasn't sure I had the answers, but I knew one thing for sure: I couldn't ignore Liam's offer. I couldn't pretend that this wasn't happening. And as much as I wanted to run from it all, a part of me wanted to see where this unexpected twist of fate would lead. After all, life had a funny way of throwing curveballs, and maybe this was the one I needed to catch. It was the hardest decision I'd ever have to make, but in that moment, I realized that maybe, just maybe, Liam Parker was the person who could help me find the answers. He might not have all the solutions, but he was offering me a chance to rewrite the story of my life, a chance to find out what could happen if I allowed myself to trust again. I took a deep breath as I walked out of the doctor's office, Liam right beside me. The weight of everything still pressed heavily on my chest, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't completely alone. As we reached the elevator, I looked at him, unsure of what to say next. He seemed calm, collected, as if everything that had just happened was just another part of his day. Meanwhile, my world had been flipped upside down. "I don't know where to go from here," I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't expect any of this, Liam. My life was complicated enough before you walked in, and now I don't know what I'm supposed to do." Liam turned to me, his gaze soft, understanding. "I know it's a lot to take in," he said, his voice steady. "And I'm not asking you to make a decision right away. I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere, Sarah. We'll figure this out, together." His words were comforting, but they didn't completely erase the doubts swirling in my mind. How could I trust him? Could I really allow him to be a part of my life after everything that had happened? I had always been the one to handle everything on my own, to make decisions for myself and my daughter. But now, with this unexpected pregnancy, things had changed. The thought of facing it alone was terrifying, but the idea of letting someone else in, someone like Liam, was just as frightening. I had no idea what he wanted from me, or why he was so determined to help, but for some reason, a part of me felt like I had no other choice but to let him. The elevator door slid open, and we stepped out into the bustling hospital hallway. "How about we grab a coffee?" Liam suggested, breaking the silence. "We can talk more, get some clarity." I nodded, more out of habit than anything else. The truth was, I didn't know what to say, what to ask, or even what I needed. I just knew that I couldn't continue like this, stuck in a world where nothing made sense. As we walked to the small coffee shop in the lobby, I tried to gather my thoughts. The sound of footsteps echoed in the corridor. But it felt as though the world had slowed down, as if everything was happening in slow motion. Liam seemed completely at ease, as if he'd done this 1,000 times before, but I was drowning in uncertainty. We reached the coffee counter, and Liam ordered for both of us before turning back to me with a smile. "I know this is a lot to digest," he said softly, "but I want you to know that I'm here. We don't have to rush into anything, Sarah. You have time. Take all the time you need." I appreciated his words, but the uncertainty was still there. What was I supposed to do now? How could I keep my life together when everything was falling apart? I had never imagined I would find myself in a situation like this. I didn't know how to navigate a relationship with a millionaire, let alone one who was telling me he wanted to be part of my life and the life of my child. "I just need to know one thing," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "Why? Why are you doing this? You don't owe me anything. I don't understand why you're offering to help. What's your angle?" Liam's smile faded, and for the first time, I saw something more in his eyes, a flicker of something deeper, something personal. "I'm not doing this because I feel obligated, Sarah," he said, his voice earnest. "I'm doing this because I want to. Because I believe that I can be a part of your life. A real part. I can't explain it, but there's something about you, about us, that feels important. I don't want to be just a stranger in your life. I want to be someone you can count on." I didn't know how to respond to that. The idea of letting someone in, especially someone like him, felt so foreign to me. But there was something in his sincerity, in the way he spoke, that made me want to believe him. Maybe I had been too quick to judge. Maybe this was just what I needed, a sign that things could get better. As we sat down with our coffee, the conversation drifted to other topics: life, work, our pasts. It was strange, talking to Liam like this. We were two very different people from different worlds, yet there was a connection building, a bond that seemed to form with each passing minute. I still didn't have all the answers, and I wasn't sure if I ever would. But for the first time, I didn't feel completely alone. And that was something I hadn't felt in a long time. As we talked, I began to realize that maybe this wasn't the end of my story, but the beginning of something new, something unexpected. And just maybe, I could take a chance on it. I sat in the small coffee shop with Liam, my mind still racing from everything that had happened. The coffee in front of me was cold, but I didn't mind. I wasn't even sure if I could drink it. My thoughts were swirling, a mess of doubt, fear, and, strangely, a bit of hope. It had only been a few days since everything changed, but already it felt like my world had shifted entirely. I had been so used to being independent, to taking care of myself and my daughter without relying on anyone. Now, here I was, sitting across from a man who was offering to help me, to be a part of my life. But why? What did he want from me? I looked at Liam, who was sitting across from me, his eyes warm and patient. "You don't have to make any decisions right now," he said softly, almost as if he could sense the storm inside my head. "I just want you to know that I'm here for you, Sarah. I'm not going anywhere." I nodded, though part of me still couldn't fully accept what was happening. It was so overwhelming, this sudden shift in my life. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I couldn't keep pushing people away, especially not Liam. He was offering something I'd never allowed myself to accept: help, support, and even a chance for something more. I glanced down at my hands, nervously fidgeting with my coffee cup. "I'm not sure how to handle all of this," I admitted quietly. "I don't know if I'm ready to let someone in, especially not someone like you." Liam leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. "I understand that, Sarah. I really do. But I want you to know that I'm not here to rush you, to push you into anything. I'm here to stand by your side, however you need me to." His words were reassuring, but they also stirred something inside me. Could I really let him in? Could I trust him enough to allow him to be a part of my life and the life of my daughter? "I know this is all new, and I know you have a lot of questions," Liam continued, his eyes never leaving mine. "But the one thing I want you to know is that I want to be here. I want to help, and I don't expect anything in return." His sincerity was almost overwhelming. It was one thing to hear those words, but it was another to actually feel them, to sense the genuine care in his voice. Part of me still couldn't believe it. After everything that had happened, how could I trust someone like him? How could I trust anyone at all? But as I looked into his eyes, I realized that maybe, just maybe, I had to start trusting again. For the sake of myself, for the sake of my daughter. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," I said softly, my voice trembling. "I don't know if I'm ready to trust you. But I can't keep pretending that I have everything under control. I can't keep carrying this weight by myself." Liam's expression softened, and for a moment, I saw the vulnerability that lay beneath his calm exterior. "You don't have to do it alone anymore," he said, his voice low and reassuring. "I'm here, Sarah. You don't have to carry this burden by yourself." His words settled in my chest, and for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to believe that maybe things could be different. Maybe, with Liam's help, I could face the unknown. I wasn't sure what the future held, but one thing was clear: this was the start of something new, something that could change everything. I didn't know where it would take me, but as I looked at Liam, I realized that I didn't have to face it alone. I didn't have to be afraid anymore. I could take the first step, and with Liam by my side, I could start to rebuild, to trust again. It wouldn't be easy, and I would have to take it one day at a time, but for the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't completely alone. And that, in itself, was a relief. I woke up the next morning feeling a sense of confusion and uncertainty, my mind still replaying the events of the past few days. Liam's words echoed in my head. "You don't have to do it alone anymore." It was comforting, in a way, but it also stirred something deep inside me. Could I really let him in? Could I trust him? I had never allowed myself to depend on anyone before, and the idea of doing so now, especially with someone like Liam, felt strange, almost unnatural. But as the morning sunlight filtered through the window, I realized that maybe it was time to stop pushing people away. Maybe, just maybe, I needed to take a step forward, to allow myself to trust again. I glanced over at my daughter, Lily, still sound asleep in her bed. Her peaceful face reminded me of what was truly important: her future, her happiness, and her security. I couldn't keep living in fear, afraid of trusting others. I needed to do what was best for her, even if that meant stepping into the unknown. I got out of bed, my mind made up. I would talk to Liam today, face the uncertainty, and see where this unexpected journey would take me. As I made my way to the kitchen to prepare breakfast, I thought about everything he had said. He wasn't just offering help, he was offering a future, a chance to build something better. I had always been the one to take care of things, to handle everything on my own, but perhaps this time it was okay to let someone else help. Maybe it was okay to let someone else be there for me. I had been so focused on surviving, on getting through each day, that I had forgotten what it felt like to have someone to share the burden with. I poured myself a cup of coffee, my thoughts still swirling. The phone rang, and I picked it up without checking the caller ID. "Hello? Sarah, it's Liam." His voice came through the line, steady and calm. "I just wanted to check in with you, see how you're doing. I know everything's moving fast, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but I'm here whenever you're ready to talk." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This was it. I couldn't keep avoiding this. I'm doing okay," I said, my voice a little shaky. "I've been thinking about everything, and I think it's time for us to talk more about what comes next. I don't want to keep pushing you away, but I also don't want to make any decisions that I'm not ready for." There was a pause on the other end of the line, and then Liam spoke again, his tone warm and understanding. "I understand, Sarah. Take all the time you need. There's no rush, but when you're ready, we can sit down and figure things out. I just want to be here for you." His words made something inside me shift. Maybe I had been too quick to push him away. Maybe I needed to give this a real chance, to see if we could work together to create a better future. I didn't have all the answers, and I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to try. I hung up the phone and stood there for a moment, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. This was the start of something new, something unexpected. And while I didn't know what would happen next, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going through this alone anymore. Liam's presence in my life, whether I was ready for it or not, meant that things were changing. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, this change could be for the better. As the day went on, I thought more about what Liam had said. I had to stop being afraid of the unknown. I had to stop clinging to the life I knew, the one where I was always in control, always doing things on my own. It was time to embrace the possibility of something more, something different. And so, later that afternoon, I called Liam back. "I'm ready to talk," I said, my voice more confident than I had felt in days. "Let's figure this out, together." There was a pause on the other end of the line. And then Liam's voice came through, full of warmth and relief. "I'm glad to hear that, Sarah," he said. "We'll take this one step at a time. I'm here for you, no matter what." As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. This was just the beginning of a new chapter, one that I couldn't predict, but one that I was ready to face with Liam by my side. I woke up the next morning with a sense of quiet determination. The previous day had been a turning point, and now I was ready to take the next step, whatever that may be. I had made the decision to talk to Liam, to give this a chance. But the uncertainty still lingered in the back of my mind. Could I really trust him? Could I trust myself in all of this? As I moved through my morning routine, I thought about everything he had said. "I'm here for you, no matter what." Those words echoed in my head as I prepared breakfast for Lily, trying to focus on the present, on what I could control. But the reality of the situation weighed heavily on me. I had always taken care of everything on my own. It was easier that way, less complicated. But now, it felt like I was standing at the edge of something much bigger than I was prepared for. After breakfast, I went about my day, but my mind kept drifting back to Liam, to what he had offered, to the future that was uncertain and, in many ways, out of my hands. Later that afternoon, as promised, I met him at a local cafe. It was a small, quiet place, the kind of spot that felt like a refuge from the chaos of the world. Liam was already there, waiting for me with a calm smile on his face. When he saw me walk in, he stood up and waved me over. "Hey, Sarah," he greeted me softly, his voice warm. "I'm glad you could make it." I smiled nervously, feeling the weight of the moment settle over me. This was it, the moment where I would have to decide if I was going to move forward with him or turn away. I sat down across from him, and for a moment, neither of us said anything. The silence between us wasn't awkward, but it was filled with the unspoken tension of two people who were standing on the edge of something new, something uncertain. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said," I began, breaking the silence. About giving this a chance." Liam nodded, his expression serious but kind. "I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. I know it's a lot to process, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. We don't have to rush into anything. We can take this one step at a time." His words were reassuring, but I still felt a sense of hesitation. Could I really do this? Could I really open myself up to someone again, especially after everything I had been through? I thought about my daughter, Lily, and what kind of future I wanted to create for her. It wasn't just about me anymore. "I know it's not going to be easy," I said, my voice steady, but the fear was still there. "I don't want to make the same mistakes. I've been on my own for so long, and I don't know if I'm ready to let someone else in." Liam's expression softened, and he reached across the table, gently placing his hand on mine. "You don't have to do this alone, Sarah," he said, his voice full of sincerity. "I'm not asking you to let me in all at once. I'm just asking for a chance to prove that I can be there for you when you're ready." His touch was warm, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as alone as I had always thought. The walls I had built around myself, the ones I had carefully constructed to keep everyone at a distance, began to feel like they weren't as necessary as they once had been. Maybe it was time to take them down, piece by piece, and let someone in. But it wasn't going to be easy. "I don't know if I can trust you completely," I said quietly. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but I'm willing to try. I'm willing to take a chance on us, on this. Liam squeezed my hand gently, his smile returning. That's all I'm asking for, Sarah, a chance. We'll take it one step at a time, together. And for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope, a sense that maybe things could be different. I wasn't sure what the future held, but in that moment, I realized that maybe I didn't need to have all the answers. Maybe, just maybe, it was enough to take the first step and see where it led. The rest of the afternoon was spent talking, sharing our thoughts, our fears, and our hopes for the future. Liam was open with me, more so than I had expected, and slowly, the trust I had been so hesitant to give began to take root. We didn't have all the answers, and we probably never would. But we had something that was worth exploring, a chance to build something new, something real, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to do it alone. I sat in my small apartment later that evening, the faint hum of the city outside seeping through the window. I stared at the empty space in front of me, trying to process everything that had happened in the past few weeks. The weight of the decisions I was facing felt heavier than ever, but for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel completely alone. I had taken the first step, the most difficult one, and it was terrifying. But Liam's words kept replaying in my mind, asterisk. We'll take this one step at a time together. Asterisk. And that was what I needed to hold on to, wasn't it? One step at a time. I looked over at Lily, who was curled up on the couch, reading her book, completely unaware of the whirlwind of thoughts that was spinning inside me. She was my anchor, the reason I was fighting, the reason I was even considering taking a chance on something I had never allowed myself to entertain. I knew I had to get this right for her future. But I also realized that my own future couldn't be written in isolation. And maybe, just maybe, Liam could help me create something better. The phone buzzed on the table, breaking my train of thought. It was a message from Liam, asterisk. Just checking in. I know things are moving fast, but I'm here whenever you need me. Asterisk. I stared at the message for a few moments, feeling the familiar tension in my chest, but also a strange sense of warmth. I had never had someone in my life who was so patient, so willing to stand by me, without expecting anything in return. He wasn't rushing me, he wasn't demanding anything. He was simply offering his support. And for the first time, I realized that maybe that was enough. I wasn't sure how much I was ready to share, or what I was ready to commit to. But I knew that I couldn't keep closing myself off. I had to allow myself the chance to open up. I typed back a quick response, asterisk. Thanks, Liam. I appreciate it. I'm still figuring things out, but I'll reach out when I'm ready. Asterisk. Almost immediately, my phone lit up with his reply. Asterisk. Take your time. I'll be here when you're ready. Asterisk. There was something about his simplicity, the way he didn't push, that made me trust him more than I thought I would. And for the first time in ages, I felt a small flicker of hope. The following weeks were a blur. I began to see Liam more frequently, but it was always on my terms. He never rushed me, never made me feel pressured, and slowly, I started to let my guard down. We would talk about everything and nothing, from the challenges I faced as a single mom to the dreams I had put on hold for so long. For the first time, I allowed myself to think about the future, without the weight of fear constantly pressing down on me. I was still unsure about what Liam's role in my life would be, but I couldn't deny the connection that was growing between us. It was subtle, a slow-building trust that was different from anything I had ever known. He never tried to fix my problems. He simply listened, offered advice when needed, and supported me when I needed it most. I remember one evening, as we sat on my couch, watching Lily play in the corner of the room. Liam turned to me with a gentle smile. "You know," he said softly, "I've never seen someone so strong. You're doing an amazing job, Sarah. I hope you know that." His words caught me off guard. And for a moment, I was silent, unsure how to respond. I wasn't used to hearing compliments, especially not ones that felt so genuine. "Thank you," I said quietly, my voice trembling. "It's just hard sometimes, you know? I've been so focused on making sure Lily is okay, I forgot what it feels like to take care of myself." Liam's expression softened. "That's something we can work on together. You don't have to carry everything on your own. You've been doing it for so long. but maybe it's time to let someone help." His words were like a weight being lifted off my shoulders. I realized, in that moment, that maybe I had been so afraid of depending on others that I had missed out on the support that could make my life easier. I wasn't used to asking for help, but with Liam, it felt different. For once, I didn't feel like I had to be strong all the time. I didn't have to do everything on my own, and as much as it scared me, that was okay. Over the next few days, Liam and I continued to talk, and little by little, I allowed myself to trust him more. It wasn't easy, and there were still moments of doubt. But with each step we took together, I felt a sense of peace settle in my heart. Maybe this was what I had been missing all along. A partnership, a connection, someone who genuinely cared. I wasn't sure where this was headed, but I was beginning to believe that whatever it was, it could be something good. And for the first time in a long time, I was willing to see where this journey with Liam would lead. I had never imagined my life would end up this way. When I first met Liam, I was a single mother, just trying to survive, doing my best to protect my daughter, Lily, and keep things together. I was scared of trusting anyone, terrified of letting anyone get too close. But somehow, as we spent more time together, everything started to change. With each conversation, each small gesture of kindness, I began to realize that maybe I had been wrong all along. Maybe it was okay to need someone, to lean on someone when things got tough. It wasn't weakness, it was strength, and Liam had shown me that. It wasn't just the grand gestures or the promises he made, it was in the quiet moments, the small things he did that proved his sincerity. He didn't just say he was there for me. He was times there for me, in every way that mattered. As the weeks went by, I could see it more clearly. We were building something real, something that felt worth fighting for. I was still scared, but I wasn't alone. And for the first time, that fear felt manageable. Liam and I continued to talk, to learn more about each other, to navigate this unexpected path we had found ourselves on. There were still challenges ahead, of course. Still things I didn't understand. But with Liam by my side, those challenges didn't seem as insurmountable. We didn't have all the answers, but we were willing to face them together. One afternoon, Liam took me to a beautiful art gallery, one that he had quietly arranged to showcase my work art that had always been my passion, my dream, but something I had set aside for far too long. As we walked through the exhibit, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe, not just for the art, but for what this moment represented. It was a symbol of everything we had built, of the trust that had slowly formed between us. "You did this for me?" I asked, my voice trembling as I took in the paintings on display. "I thought you deserved to see your work appreciated, Sarah," he replied softly, his eyes meeting mine with that same sincerity I had come to rely on. "You've always had this talent. I just wanted to help you share it with the world." His words hit me harder than I expected, and in that moment, I realized that this wasn't just about us, this was about me, too. Liam had given me the space to rediscover a part of myself I had long buried. It wasn't just the art that had been neglected, it was my own sense of worth, my belief that I could have more than just a functional life. I could have something meaningful, something that filled me with purpose. As the evening went on, we talked more about our hopes, our fears, and the future we were beginning to imagine together. I was still unsure about what it all meant, but for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to have all the answers right away. We could take it one step at a time, and that was okay. I wasn't alone anymore. I looked at Liam, and for the first time, I felt truly grateful not just for the way he had shown up in my life, but for the way he had helped me rediscover who I was and what I was capable of. He had given me the courage to believe in myself again. As we stood there, hand in hand, surrounded by my artwork, I realized that the road ahead would still have its challenges, but it was no longer a road I had to walk alone. We had built something real, something I could believe in, and as the night ended, I knew that no matter what came next, I was ready to face it, because for the first time, I had someone I could truly trust. Someone who had shown me that love wasn't just about finding someone to be with, it was about finding someone who helped you become the best version of yourself. And with Liam, I had found that. Together, we would take on whatever the future held, and I knew we could face it all side by side. In this captivating tale of unexpected love and personal growth, a young woman finds herself caught in a whirlwind after a routine checkup reveals that she is pregnant with a millionaire's baby. As she navigates the complexities of this shocking revelation, she learns about trust, vulnerability, and the possibility of a future she never imagined. Throughout these millionaire stories, we see how an unlikely connection can change everything, turning a life filled with doubt and fear into one of hope and possibility. The story unfolds with the woman's journey of self-discovery, as she slowly lets go of her fears and begins to embrace the love and support offered by a man she never expected to need. As their relationship deepens, the woman's passion for art resurfaces, revealing that there is more to her than just being a mother or a caretaker. These millionaire stories showcase the transformative power of love, showing how the right person can help you rediscover your worth and dreams. Through unexpected acts of kindness and patient understanding, this man helps her build a life where she is no longer alone, creating a foundation of trust and partnership. With each step, their bond grows stronger, and together, they face the unknown with the confidence that comes from knowing they have each other. In these millionaire stories, the focus is not on wealth or status, but on the profound impact one person can have on another's life when they offer genuine care and support. By the end, this story proves that sometimes, the greatest gift you can receive is the chance to rebuild your life with someone who believes in you. These millionaire stories remind us that true love is about sharing not just successes, but the challenges too, and finding strength in each other to create something beautiful and lasting.